Hello everyone and welcome to the Hunter Association, your source for all things Hunter x Hunter. My name is Kaige.
And my name is Dylan.
And in this week's episode, we are talking about a brand new chapter. Chapter 401, Moonlight.
Oh man. We're here, guys.
Yes.
We're here.
So excited to be here. We'll save all discussion for whenever we transition into the next segment, but very, very excited here.
For sure.
So then, of course, we will be going through our community comments, and we are making a few changes to that, but we'll talk about that whenever we get to the segment. If you would like to join in on the community and have your comments read, be sure to comment on the YouTube version, either on the video or the community post, and make sure to like and subscribe to help grow our community of Hunter x Hunter fans. If you're an audio listener, for the time being, feel free to send us an email at hunterassociationpod@gmail.com. As always, I have provided timestamps in the description if you'd like to skip ahead to any of the aforementioned segments.
Yep. Sounds good.
And so for now, before we move into the chapter, we do have actually some news today, this week actually. Net Impact has been delayed to 2025 to implement rollback netcode.
So this was a surprise to both of us, I think, because wow, that was not going to happen in the first place.
Yeah, that's a little scary to think about, that game launching without rollback. But
it would have been dead on arrival for sure, and that would have been
thankfully
a very sad time. But
yes, but they're taking the time to add it. I think they saw the error in their ways, so
very
we're
quickly.
good.
Yeah. So well, maybe not quickly. It was like literally down to the wire. But
yeah,
good decision, best decision they could have made for that.
Yes.
I will patiently wait until an actual release date happens.
Yep. So we'll be getting it next year sometime. Who knows when?
Fine by me, honestly. This year has been stacked to the brim with games already. So
I'm good with waiting.
Yeah.
And then also we have the normal manga progress updates. Togashi's still hard at work. He's on 421 and he's up to page 13. So that's great to hear.
Yep. Still making progress. That's awesome.
Indeed. All right, so not a whole lot to talk about in the intro this week because we'll talk about, the structure of this show, like how things are going to go going forward with chapter coverage whenever we actually move into the next segment. So let's just go ahead and move into it.
Yep.
Okay, so we're here with chapter 401, Moonlight, and if you guys missed last week's episode or the end of last week's episode, I'm going to re-explain here how chapter coverage is going to go on the channel. So, me and Dylan have already read it. This isn't like our first time reading it. We read it just a couple minutes ago, really. So, we're going to go back and forth, reading 2 pages each, starting with me this week, but every week we'll alternate who starts. So, Dylan will start next week. I get an easy start this week because it's just a color page and like a very tiny amount of dialogue on the first page, but
I wonder,
whatever.
Yeah, which one of us is going to get stuck with the most yapping?
We'll find out. We read through the chapter, discuss as we go, round up all our thoughts at the end, and then we move into your thoughts and discuss those. So that's the plan. And anything else to add to that, Dylan, before we go ahead and get started?
No, just I'm very excited to dive into the chapter, and and nothing for me to add on top of that.
Alrighty then. So without further ado, let's talk about a brand new chapter. So we're here with 401, Moonlight. We got a really cool color page, and Dylan, I think Morena might be important. I think Togashi is trying to tell us something.
Yeah, just a little bit. I think we all could have inferred that already, but if this is the most damning confirmation of that.
Yeah, she got a whole volume cover, and now we got a color page, just her and the black whale. So I think if anybody had any doubts about Morena's importance for some reason, then I think you should probably start paying more attention to her.
Yeah, well, maybe not this chapter because
not
appear,
at all.
But that's okay.
Yes. Now we move in. We are on day 10, Tuesday at 11:45 a.m. We're actually a little bit back in time from where we left off at the end of last chapter. This is the lead up to this contract that was discussed at the end of last chapter.
Mm-hmm.
So, somebody is saying, maybe Karapika, maybe Bill, I don't know. Someone's saying, next, Longhee, it's your turn. This way, please. Longhee enters the room, and Furikov is kind of looking over the situation, saying, ooh, the secret Nen user. How will she handle this? Will she pretend to awaken Nen upon Karapika's attack, or reveal herself once in the room? If only she'd kamikaze Prince Wobble.
I like how he states that one like out loud to himself. Like,
yeah, it's still a thought,
yeah,
but it's a different speech bubble for some reason. It's like
it looks funny. Is kind of the point I was getting.
Yeah,
like, I thought he just stated that out loud at first, and I was like, "What the hell?"
That would be hilarious. So yeah, she enters the room, and go ahead and take over already, Dylan.
All right. We flip the page, and then we see Longhee saying, "I don't need divination. I can use Nen already." So right off the bat, we're seeing, yeah, okay, she's just revealing herself now. Both Bill and Karapika are kind of surprised by this approach and just the statement in general. And she further explains, but just so you know, those snakes weren't mine. So confirming that she is not the silent majority user, which is still implanted in the back of our head still, throughout all this. Mm-hmm. I'd like to prove that and explain why I'm here. And then we see this pretty cool panel of Longhee activating her Nen. And it's, it looks, I don't know what it's supposed to be, but I know it's supposed to be.
It's a piece of paper.
It's a piece of paper. It looked funny to me at first. I'm like, is that like a window of Nen? Like, it didn't really I wasn't sure what to think of that before reading more. But as we get explained here on the next page, my ability is called Transparent Words, Moonlight Act. So already referencing the chapter title. Mm-hmm. It's a conditional manipulative ability. By having someone sign a limited term contract, I can loan out my ability or restrict their actions. So, okay. We're cooking now with this ability. A voluntary signature is required, Longhee explains. Please hold your decision until you hear me out. Karapika then says, you want my signature? What's in the contract? An alliance with the 5th Prince Tubepa, Longhee explains. So this is where the alliance is coming into play.
Yes.
Seemingly forced from the start of it, which is interesting. But as we go on, we'll learn more about it. However, Longhee says, Prince Tubepa doesn't know about this ability, let alone the fact that I can use Nen. So acting in secret now. Interesting. Mm-hmm. This contract is insurance to guarantee the true plan goes smoothly. Karapika says that sounds quite intricate, and just off the bat within these first couple pages, Togashi is already setting up some crazy implications just from Mm-hmm. I don't really know how another way to put it. There's just so much stuff being set up already within the first few pages of this chapter.
This is, we'll obviously talk about it more later, but man, this is such an exciting chapter. Mm-hmm. So much new stuff is on the table now.
Oh yeah. But yep, Karapika very obviously a little unsure about this, as I think any sane person would be in this situation.
Yep.
Kind of activates his Nen a little bit. Putting out his chains, it looks like, and then we flip the page, and I believe you'll be taking over now the reading.
Yes. So he does indeed bring out dowsing chain, and this is something I noticed immediately. I love this page here and how the chain divides the panels below it. That is so cool.
I didn't notice that until I went on to the next panels, but I was like, whoa, that's awesome.
Very cool. So with dowsing chain and a gun in hand, once again, he says, I don't have time to sift through a mix of fact and fiction. If I figure out you're lying, I'll shoot without any hesitation. And then Longhee says, isn't your threat more of a waste of time? You can't kill a Nen user with a .22 caliber.
Fair.
Karapika just kind of blankly stares. Yeah. She says, my ability requires me to explain the whole truth first. If all I wanted was to form a contract between you and the prince, I would only need to tell you the details of the contract itself. But for my true plan, I want to grant you additional power with my ability. And in order to do that, I have to explain everything. Karapika then says, what's your true plan? Long He just kind of pauses for a moment. Kurapika asks, what's wrong? Long He says, well, I'm not sure how to explain. I should start with what used to be the true plan. And then the reveal. I am Beyond Netero's daughter. Whoa. Obviously, everybody's shocked.
There goes your Beyond gets assassinated theory, Kaige.
But what if not? What if this adds evidence to the fact? Because now he's a player. He's got stakes. He's not involved now.
That's fair. But yeah, off the rip, holy crap. That's a reveal I did not expect to happen, let alone so soon.
Something I also kept thinking about through this whole chapter is like, just in this one chapter, if I were to update all those charts I made, it would take forever. There's so many new additions now.
Already, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how you could. Yeah, just wait a little. Make whole new slides at this point whenever the time comes.
Yeah, whenever, the next break comes and I update the slides, I might have to restart.
Yeah, from scratch. This is a crazy reveal. That he has a daughter in general, let alone one that's actively being involved in the contest right now.
And more on that soon.
More on that, yeah. It gets crazy.
Carry on, Dylan.
Insane reveal, and then we would flip the page to Kurapika just pausing and saying, go on. as calmly as you can be with a reveal of that. I don't know how. Yeah, he's holding it together more than I would. Then we get a very long explanation, so bear with me, listeners and viewers. 30 years ago, Long He says, my father talked some young officers like Kaige into having sham marriages. There are many others with families like mine. The couples raised the children born between the wives and beyond as their own, and put them in the Royal Military Academy. I think he did this every time a new prince was born. We were set on the path to become royal guards for the princes, and most of us have probably fulfilled this goal. We had none since we were born, after all, and the academy exam itself wasn't difficult unless there were special circumstances. I stumbled upon the secret when I discovered that I didn't inherit a trait that I should have from my father. After I found out about the existence of my brothers and sisters, I simply figured my father's purpose was to place his kin into important positions close to the next king. So, it's sounding a lot very similar to the Have-Nots in a lot of ways, but it's entirely different as well, which is interesting.
Yeah, even more similarities as we continue. It's interesting.
But just from here, that's when I kind of realized, hey, this is pretty similar territory. So that was the original true plan, Kurapika asks. Yes, my parents told me when they told me about my real father. Long He explains. My other half-siblings weren't told the details about their birth or about each other. Even though I knew until the succession battle, I thought of myself merely as a Kaige soldier with unique family circumstances. I lived in boarding schools as far back as I can remember, so I only had a tenuous connection to my parents. Beyond's purpose, of which my parents spoke passionately every time they came to see me, I never particularly questioned, since it aligned with the national cause of world unity under Kaige. But his methods were different. Kurapika's still hearing her out. We were used as pawns, and I like this little panel here, even though it's very small, of just the soldiers in the barracks and just kind of the symbolism of it all. Love that.
That's good.
We were used as pawns. As I said, we could use Nen since we were born. Newborns with Nen instinctively learn Ten and Zetsu quickly to prevent fatigue. I was always among the top of my academy class physically, even without trying. So, before we move on to this next thing, because this is another big reveal coming up, I want to point out as the whole idea of newborns with Nen is really interesting to me now, considering that, Wobble is pretty much as close to a newborn as we can get on the ship currently. So I wonder if this is kind of a hint maybe for something that could play a factor later on, because we know Wobble has Nen because the succession contest, the seed urn ceremony. So.
I also, well, never mind. I want to talk more about what I'm thinking later on, but
understandable, yeah.
We'll continue.
However, Longkey says, that was a side effect of Beyond's Nen attack, talking about the, physical prowess, kind of being imbued from the Nen. Attack, Kurapika asks. Yes, my father placed a curse on us. Oh, man, more curses. Gotta love them.
Indeed. So, about this curse. Longhi continues and says, I found out when my half-sister Makaha became suspicious of her parents. She was supposed to be assigned to Prince Camilla, the second graduating class. The second graduating class lost their places when Prince Camilla elevated the have-nots as her personal guards, and she was among them. She felt something was wrong when her parents didn't mirror her disappointment. She investigated in secret and discovered me, also serving under the second queen. My parents tried to inspire me with Beyond's goal of unifying the world. How can they be so blasé that I didn't make the cut? And I think that's Makaha there, maybe, saying that?
I think that's stuff she was saying to herself.
Yeah. Then Longhi continues, after the seed urn ceremony, we noticed a mark in common between us. We showed it to a renowned exorcist and discovered the truth. That exorcist could, by the way, potentially be the one that's in Camilla's group, or quarters at least. Don't know exactly, but possibly.
Could be. Not really a way to know, but yeah.
No, not currently. He told us a powerful and sinister... Oh, he. Well, never mind then. That is
okay, well, yeah, it is somebody different.
Oops. Anyways, he told us a powerful and sinister Nen possessed us that will activate upon our death. So here we keep going with post-mortem Nen, guys. It's very big in this arc. And then she says, take a good look with Gyo. And then very Junji Ito-esque here. She opens her mouth, raises up her tongue, and we see an eye on the bottom of her tongue.
Oh, man. He popped off with this art.
Yes, that's very good stuff. He told me I was a strong curse sacrifice. I was chosen to curse my target to death. So, another similarity to have-nots here. Mm-hmm. There are at least 10 of us who are strong, including me and Makaha. If there are as many more weak ones who weren't selected, then my father must have prepared a large number of pawns because he couldn't be sure of the final count of princes. Interesting stuff. And Kurapika and Bill are just kind of looking onward. Bill slightly more concerned than Kurapika, but I think Kurapika's just better at hiding his emotions than Bill.
First chapter back, and we already have a new faction. We're so back. We're so back, dude.
Yeah, this would be a whole new page on my slides.
the not have-nots.
The not have-nots.
Continuing the conversation between these, I would say 3, but Bill does not really speak much at all.
No, well, actually he does on this page, but not a whole lot.
Continuing it. Longhi continues, we were assured it wasn't something that could be removed simply by burning off the surface or even cutting it off. A powerful curse, the likes of which he had never seen. Our bodies were turned into tools of Beyond's plan. Curse sacrifices incarnate on his behalf. So, no way to remove them. She's stuck with it, as is the other 10 plus people.
Yep.
We don't know what kind of ability it is or who the targets are, but they are undoubtedly aimed to make sure our targets are cursed to death. Oh, man. Bill then chimes in, Kurapika, if this goes on for too long, people will get suspicious. Kurapika pauses as, ponders that situation. But we need to hear all of it, or else we can't form a contract with Prince Tubepa. Longhi then continues. Since Beyond didn't make any moves after Makaha failed to join Prince Camilla's entourage, we don't think our targets are simply the princes we were assigned to. That means we might not have needed to be in the entourage, or even in the military at all. Even our life goals were used for our father's scheme. Karapika then chimes in, you don't know who your target is, but you're sure it's a prince. Yes, it's only speculation, but I'm sure of it. So, oh man. Again, another similarity to the Have-Nots, probably a prince being targeted by this.
Yep.
Crazy stuff. But we continue. It gets crazier. He continues in explaining, there are more than 10 strong curse sacrifices and 14 princes. It can't be a coincidence. We don't know who's going to kill which prince, but Beyond is trying to influence the succession battle. Bill then comments, if he didn't tell the sacrifices, that means either Beyond knows how to activate the curse, or he's leaving it to fate as a condition that increases its power. Karapika then responds, probably the latter. Beyond is in Kakine's innermost circles, so it's likely he just wants the eldest, Prince Benjamin, to take the throne. Sacrificing a life is necessary for a powerful curse. If they give Prince Benjamin such a hint in order to ensure he survives as successor, then Prince Benjamin can use his special martial law with the military at his back as a last resort. But, Longhi then says, no, I don't think it's Prince Benjamin. And Karapika and Bill are very shocked by this. They were so sure.
Yeah, they really were.
Longhi just kind of has a stoic face. Oito is very worried right now about everything that's happening.
To say the least, yeah.
Yeah. Longhi then says, my father is well prepared, cunning, and greedy. And with this much preparation time, it's inconceivable that he would make all this effort for someone unrelated to him. Bill is kind of like, then what? And Karapika has a sudden revelation at the wording that Longhi just said. Wait, you mean... Longhi then says yes, and then Kaige, will you take it away?
One of the princes is Beyond's child. That's what I think, she says. Whoa, guys. Okay. So Beyond has gone from no involvement whatsoever in this arc to potentially major player here.
I don't even know if it's potentially at this point. I think he just is a major player now.
Yeah, especially given the end of the chapter. Yeah, this is crazy. This chapter's nuts. Seriously.
Yeah. They came out swinging with a...
I was not expecting all this in the first chapter.
Oh my god. This is everything I wanted.
Yes, this is amazing stuff. This is bombshell after bombshell, this chapter. Oh my god.
Bombshell reveals, multiple setups for other storylines and plot involvements, yappenings all over the place. We're so back.
We're so back, guys. We are so back.
Yeah, crazy reveal. I still don't really know how to process it.
Yes, I have much to say about this, but I'm going to save it till the end.
Yeah.
So, Bill says, but is that really possible? And he's freaking the fuck out right now, understandably.
I would be too. That's crazy. What do you mean?
Karapika's trying to keep it cool and says, Queen Oito, what is the requirement for a prince to participate in the succession? Oito says, to be qualified, they must be born to Nasabi Huigyo-Ro's lawful wife. It's true that there's technically no mention of parental lineage, but, I mean, it couldn't be. We then cut over to the outside of the room where Sakata, and I don't remember that other guy's name right now, but he says, well, actually, it's just Sakata saying this anyway, so I don't need to remember the other guy's name. Sakata says, Karapika, is anything wrong? You're taking so long that everyone's worried. Karapika comes outside for a moment and says, we're fine. Negotiations are taking a while because we can't agree on the terms of a truce. We'll explain it fully afterward and clear up any doubts you might have. Please have patience. Firikov looks onwards and just says, And I assume this is him thinking to himself, it could be Bobby Mina. I'm pretty sure this is Firikov, though.
He pretty sure it's Firikov.
Yeah. There's no outright change in Karapika's aura, but surely they realize she can use Nen, and she's the assassin. What could they be talking about? And so here, this is an important detail. Firikov previously stated that he figured out who the assassin is, and this confirms to us that he thinks it's Longhi. So he doesn't know.
Yeah, he's wrong.
This guy's full of shit.
You just completely assessed the situation incorrectly.
Yeah, this dumbass, but not actually. He's very smart still, but we put way too much stock in him before. I was sure he actually really did know. No, he does not know.
No, he's clueless.
Overconfident, perhaps.
Yeah.
And then Bobby Mina just kind of looks on with a thoughtful expression on his face.
I just want to quickly touch on, I'm sure we'll discuss this more in depth, after we're done reading the chapter. But it's the implications that like Beyond could actually be technically like eligible for the succession contest as a result of this. No. He wouldn't be. Never mind. No. Yeah, I was thinking about what Owito was saying. But it's crazy that like there's kind of like a loophole within the succession contest.
Yeah, they just need to be born to the wife. So that's huge. So this also makes me reconsider that line that Zhang Lei shared with Onyor about calling him father. That actually might be the case now.
It might be, yeah.
This kind of changes everything. We didn't know that the rule is they're born to the wife. I thought it really had to be Nasubi's like blood child, but there's a loophole here. So this is very, very interesting. We might start getting reveals that like all these kids aren't his for the most part. This is a game changer.
This has major implications going forward for if we eventually learn more about some of the other princes, obviously.
Yes. So, moving on though, Kurapika goes back into the room after explaining to everybody, and then whips the gun back out. Yep.
The dowsing chain. Please continue, he saes. Bill and Owito are still kind of shaken up about everything.
Yeah.
They're just watching now. Longhi continues though. The contract with Prince Tubepa is a truce with Prince Wobble and Queen Owito. Neither side will interfere with, let me restart that. Neither side will interfere with nor attack either Prince, Queen, or their guards. This will last until 9 a.m. next Sunday. So remember, it's currently Tuesday right now, I believe. At which time the contract will automatically renew for another week, provided that a representative from Prince Tubepa is present in room 1014. My ability will activate only if your side violates the terms. The penalty will be a week of forced Zetsu. Ooh.
That would be bad.
Yep. Kurapika thinks to himself, a week of forced Zetsu is quite powerful.
Yeah.
He then says, the definition of attack is vague. Healing or other acts of support could be counted as a nen attack. Fair point. Yeah, being cautious. Longhi says, then so would my ability itself. We won't unilaterally terminate the contract, so long as we don't uncover a malicious act perpetrated by your side against us. And I would never arbitrarily ascribe malicious intent to your actions. My additional stipulation is to identify Beyond's child before either Prince Tubepa withdraws or only 2 princes remain. So, interesting little deadline there for that that goal. If it turns out the criteria I set are not applicable to any of the princes, the conditions will be met in your favor, and my ability will immediately activate, granting you your reward. My additional stipulation will expire at the same time Prince Tubepa cancels the truce. But if you are willing to continue the investigation, I promise to write a new contract between us and compensate you in the same fashion. So, I just want to point out also, Kurapika's given another damn investigation on this boat now, at this point. Like, he has, like...
He's got so much on his plate, yeah.
And he still doesn't know about the troop, and oh my god, all hell's gonna break loose when that happens.
Dude, his mind is gonna break. He's just got too much going on.
It's crazy now. But... back to Longhi, though. Longhi then explains the reward and compensation he will get for assisting with this. The reward is, you will be granted a one-time use of my ability.
Big.
Ooh, game changer.
I already see the gears turning in Kurapika's head.
The gears are turning in my head, too, about what this could mean. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a big one.
We'll talk about it.
We will.
I'm sure me and you might have the same idea of...
I think we do.
Okay.
I bet we do.
Not bad, Kurapika thinks to himself. It's limited and depends on the person, but still, Force Zetsu can be applied with much easier conditions and much less risk when compared to my ability. The chain hasn't moved. She hasn't lied. So this is the real deal. There's no lies here. Long, he says, I want you to make your decision after hearing this last part. My current true plan. Take it away, Kaige. You get all the reveals this chapter.
Yeah, you keep getting all the layups, and I get the slam. All right, Long, he says, if my father's child is among the princes, as I expect, I will kill them myself. She's looking very serious here.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's just looking on. Same expressions as always. And she's kind of looking down now in a really cool set of panels here. I love these all. Mm-hmm. She says, if only my father had told me everything, even if my role had been the same, I would have never made this decision. And yeah, that panel there of like Beyond's hair kind of like flowing back into her, that is so good looking.
So good, dude. Oh, man.
Oh, Togashi's here, guys.
He's returned to form. Man.
So we then presumably jump in time a little bit. The door opens, and both Longhee and Kurapika walk out to the crowd looking onward. And Furikov continues to think to himself, says, no evidence they fought physically. Their auras are too tranquil for a Nen battle, so they negotiated. There was nothing unnatural when Kurapika came out to explain, but was she crying? What the heck happened?
He is so his brain is broken now by this entire debacle.
Yeah.
And well, this is evident going on to this next page. Oh man, I didn't expect to get the Fury Kav happening, but here we are.
Yeah, he is a talker.
Yeah. As Fury Kav explains, bear with me, I feel something slightly different from before in Kurapika's aura, but it's so faint that I can't tell if it's just a subtle change in himself or Longhee's Nen. If it was Longhee's attack, it could be something remote that involves multiple steps, or something invincible that brings out absolute power under certain conditions. I can't narrow it down enough. But it would be difficult to fill the conditions for both Bill and Kurapika at the same time. Plus, that would make my deductive inference that Longhee was the assassin a mistake. Did she negotiate with the sob story without Nen? There's not enough evidence for any of this. I don't even know if I should pursue it. These people sure don't make it easy. So, yeah, his brain is broken right now.
Yeah.
Kurapika then explains, sorry to keep you waiting. We were discussing the truce with Prince Tubepa. In short, we're both positive toward the agreement, but we can't agree on the details. Our opinions also different on how much we're willing to share with you all. Furikov then thinks to himself, yeah, right. This is an act to balance the interests of the third and fifth princes. Kurapika then says, lastly, Temptori, it's your turn. We can talk about this matter afterwards, as he leads Temptori into the door. Or into the room, I should say. Furikov then continues to think to himself, or they could just tell Temptori in there. Nen 101, behind closed doors, Prince Wobble is safe as long as this system functions. I could expose their conspiracy and demand a suspension of class, or disclosure of information, but I have little evidence. Ugh. I won't be able to take them to trial, and will just end up strengthening their solidarity. He then kind of says to Bobby Mina, right next to him, I'm starting to think we should ask for a change in assignment, don't you think? And then looks around over to Bobby Mina. He's just kind of staring blankly. Says something
does
wrong.
not match his smile.
No.
It's interesting.
Yeah, he's thinking about something. He asks if something's wrong, and he says, no, nothing. That's a lie, but...
Something's cooking there, guys.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
And then for the final page of the chapter, we then cut to Beyond. He has really
And he gets sniped through the head.
Yeah,
what?
whoa! Yeah, okay.
Oh my god, I got it, guys. I got it. What?
If only that's how it went. Yeah. I would have legit given you a gift card or something as a reward.
Yeah.
But we see Beyond in his cell. His hair and beard has grown out a lot within this, not even 2 weeks of being on the ship. Chained to the wall, has a book. He's just chilling. He says to Kanzai, if you remember, he's guarding Beyond right now. Can you get me a new book? There aren't any others. Read it again or write your own novel.
I love that.
Yeah. He says, good idea. Get me a pen and paper. Then he says, no, for security reasons. You got your beard and your own blood. I'm liking Kanzai.
This is a great moment. Yeah. Kansai stocks are going up.
And Beyond says, security reasons. If I wanted to, I could knock your head off with this book. And he says, got it. Super scared. Got any other requests? Don't hold back. Asking is free. And Beyond responds, heh, you're a funny one. There's somebody I'd like to talk to. Can you arrange a meeting? Ooh. I don't know what that could lead to.
I don't know. I don't really have any guesses currently. I'm curious to see if any of you guys do.
Me too.
But, yeah.
So
Beyond's in the story, guys. He's really here now.
He's a player now.
He's a player. Wow. Was not expecting that.
Me neither, man. And if it wasn't obvious, it is now to be continued. And
yes,
there'll be a new chapter in 7 days. So
can't wait.
Crazy chapter to come out of the gates with. I can't believe it, honestly.
Yes, this was an amazing chapter. My jaw was on the floor this whole chapter, man. I couldn't believe the stuff we were getting into right off the bat. That's crazy.
It's already flipping so many of our preconceptions on its head.
Yeah. This is game-changing in so many ways.
In just one chapter. One!
Yeah. It's
I don't know how Takashi
pretty crazy. Long Hee in this one chapter went from like a character with like one thing to say about her to like being extremely fleshed out just in one chapter. It's crazy.
Arguably becoming way more important than some of the other key players now. Like that's been, weaved throughout this plot. Man, yeah. Crazy stuff.
So, yeah. The big points. Long Hee is Beyond's daughter. Beyond basically has have-nots under his control. In a way, we don't know the full extent of what they are exactly, but they seem to serve the same purpose as have-nots. Beyond that, we have speculation, I guess I should say, from Long Hee that they target princes, and that likely Beyond is the father of one of the princes in the succession contest. Major. And before I talk about what my cracked out theory is, do you have any guesses as to which prince it might be?
Oh, man. That's something I have to think a little bit harder about, I think, because I'm going to be honest. Like, Beyond wasn't even really on my mind for most of this arc, like, in reading all the chapters to catch up. So I never would have guessed one of the princes could have a connection to him. So it's not something I've really had a thought about or had time to think about. But I'm thinking maybe it could be used like maybe for one of the princes that have kind of less of an impact right now in the succession contest, that this is a way to kind of give them more significance in it. So maybe something like maybe somebody like Luzerus would be an interesting choice for that.
Okay, yeah.
But at the same time, it could be crazy if I don't know if Sir Reednich was like the fucking son of Beyond. Like that would be crazy in itself, So
that would be wild.
I don't know though. I guess I'll just go with Losers for now, but I need to think about it a little bit harder. My answer could very well change.
Okay. So this is just immediate thoughts. This is probably not going to be the case, but it just popped into my head, and I feel like Togashi kind of wants us to think this just because of the fact that he mentions the baby, like having Nen and stuff. Obviously, I'm talking about Wobble. Now, how could it be Wobble? Because Oito, you'd think, would know that. Is she hiding it? Does she somehow not know? I don't know, but context clues are telling me Wobble right now, and I feel like that would be a pretty huge thing. Obviously, that would be a game changer in a lot of ways, because that would mean Beyond is secretly helping Kurapika's team in this case, and that is a powerful ally to have, and could also lead into Bill's plan to escape the ship.
I was going to mention that. I was like, that could link to Bill's very secret, very dangerous plan.
So that's where my head's at. These are just obviously day one thoughts. These could evolve and change, but because there's holes, I don't understand how that could be the case realistically, because Oito probably would have mentioned that before, or at least had some kind of reaction here, but she seems to even deny the possibility of this happen, like, children of not Nasubi being in the contest at all seems to be like a crazy thing to her.
Yeah.
But maybe she didn't know somehow. Like, maybe Beyond has some kind of transformation then ability. We don't know what he can do. He turned into Nasubi. That would be a little crazy, but
to say the least, yeah, that's a little. You're getting a little cracked out now with the
speculation. I'm trying to think how that could happen, and it's not adding up unless Oito's just totally hiding it.
We're missing some links for sure.
Yeah.
There's really not a lot to go off of for speculating.
No.
But
I do like your loserist idea too. That's that would be a good way to get him in the story.
Mm-hmm. But it really could be anybody. That being said, given the conversation they had, I think we could safely rule out Benjamin at the very least, and
definitely not Benjamin.
Probably even Camilla. But that one I'm
probably it's who could know.
Just because the whole thing happened with Camilla promoting the have-nots to serve her and whatnot. I don't know. So
I will say I think it is unlikely to be, which does contradict my Wobble thing, but I do think it's unlikely for it to be a queen that only has one child.
Okay.
So I'm kind of thinking it would be Dwazel, considering she has four kids to Nasubi.
That sounds right, yeah.
One of them could be an affair. Never know. But that does also become interesting because Zhonglei's mother only has Zhonglei, and we're now speculating if Onyor is his father. So I don't know. We'll see.
Time will tell.
Yes, this is it's very hard to predict this right now because it's just brand new information all across the board. So it's hard to really speculate on anything.
Mm-hmm. Just the fact that it's happening is crazy. So yeah.
Oh yeah. But just to kind of round off here, just general thoughts. What'd you think of the chapter? You kind of already said it, but just round it up. What'd you think?
Yeah, I loved it. There was a lot of talking, which is kind of what I wanted. Just come out swinging with that. Exactly. But it was very interesting stuff at the same time, though. So it wasn't like a slog to read through or anything. It kind of turned a lot of different preconceptions we had going into the return for the series on its head, and gives us a lot more things to speculate on going forward. Sets up a whole slew of different topics to discuss going forward within this arc, and it's crazy how much he just keeps building and building upon this arc, even with very few chapters.
Yeah.
It shocks me how we'll eventually see the end of this arc, hopefully, and I have no idea how that's going to come about at this point.
I know.
There's so many moving cogs and pieces now on the board. So I don't know. I'm just very excited. I think is the key thing. My key takeaway coming out of this chapter. Very excited to learn more and read more.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I love this chapter. I cannot wait to see where it goes. We also didn't mention the Bobby Mina and Furikov developments here. Yep. This is looking interesting here.
Something else we didn't really touch on is the whole Force Zetsu thing coming into play. That could.
Oh yes, I did want to talk about that. So, are you thinking Saridnich?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. This is a layup 100%. For that. So unless he subverts our expectations too, because it's a red herring, then oh man,
right.
Dude, can you imagine a potential showdown or scenario where Kurapika says, okay, I have to use it on Saridnich for whatever reason. And then now he's just he's able to do his time manipulation bullshit for a whole a week just without thinking about it. Dude, oh my God.
It's really hard to imagine how that would affect him. I don't know. I really don't know.
That was the first thing that came to mind. It's just oh my God, that could be broken. That unintentionally from Kurapika. And I mean, granted, who knows? I don't know, man. That's just a fun thing that came to mind. But Force Zetsu in general becoming a key event that could happen in the future in general. That could be game changing, for better or worse for some differences. So
yeah. And at least in Kurapika's eyes, I think he would view that as a way to solve this peacefully, which is what he wants.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
At least at the moment, he doesn't have any bloodlust for Saridnich. But I imagine that could change. But
yeah.
For the time being, he does want to solve this peacefully, and I think he's probably even thinking right now that, okay, this could be a way to make that happen. Let's make him sign a contract. If he breaks it, then worst case scenario, he loses his nen for a while. He doesn't know about his whole Zetsu thing, but, in his eyes, at least, it would be a pretty solid plan.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even for us, I don't know exactly how that would work. Him being in Zetsu for a week, what would that do to him? I really don't really know. It's kind of hard to imagine.
It's very hard to imagine, but
I think that's all we got for us, at least, right?
Yeah, I don't really have much else to touch on. I think we've kind of discussed everything pretty in depth at this point. So,
all right, then I can't wait to see what you guys had to say about this chapter. So, let us go ahead and see what you guys had to say.
Oh yeah. Okay, so now we are going to be going into reading your guys' thoughts on the chapter, and then going into community comments from the last video after that. Just a quick heads up, going forward, maybe, we might be messing around and experimenting with how we prioritize community comments going forward, just because you guys, we really appreciate the comments on the videos, and we read everything. Just as putting that out there, we do read everything, and we really appreciate all of your guys' thoughts and theories, and whatever you're commenting, all the nice things you have to say about the channel as well. Means a lot to us for sure. That being said, I kind of touched on it during the last episode as well, I believe, but there's a lot of comments, and if we tried to read every single one like we have been for the first few videos that we had for the channel, then it'd be quite a lot, right? It'd be a lot on us, and it would the videos would be ridiculously long at some point if we keep getting like 50 plus comments on these videos. So just as a heads up, we might be at least for starting with this episode, may change going forward just depending on how things go. We're going to be prioritizing the thoughts on the chapters that we're discussing first and foremost, just because that's kind of more relevant to the topics that we've had on this episode, and for future chapter discussion episodes. And we'll be kind of handpicking isn't the right word, but we'll be a little more selective, I guess, with community comments in general to go along with chapter discussion comments. So apologies if your comments on prior videos don't get read on future episodes. There's no hard feelings at all, and again, we read everything, and we really appreciate everything. But just kind of a heads up to we're going to be experimenting with kind of changing how this system goes going forward, just because it'd be a lot to read absolutely everything. Hopefully.
I do want to say, though, community posts, we're pretty much always going to read everything there, because it's always, from now on, at least, it's always going to be directly about this chapter that we're covering. So I want to, keep the conversation about the chapter going for as long as possible. So
yeah, that's kind
if
of
you really want your comment read, make sure you comment on the community post. And obviously, like Dome said, still comment on the video. We read them all. We love them. And we still probably might read your comment. I don't know.
Yeah.
We go through and figure out which ones we think would be best for the show every week. So, yeah, give it a shot.
Yep. Key thing, though, is that we kind of want to prioritize the chapter discussion going forward, just because it's more relevant. So, without further ado, though, I think we've wasted enough time with that. Let's go ahead and get into your guys' thoughts. First up, we have, from a Unikimi 8, everyone has theorized for almost 2 years, but 401's revelation has completely thrown most out of the window.
Yeah.
It seems Beyond's part in the succession arc is more diabolical. I personally thought he wouldn't have anything to do here until Dark Continent.
Me too.
Yeah. Queen Tong Li and Dwazil definitely cheated on King Nasabi. LOL. Terror Sandwich and Wobble look very predictable to be Beyond's kids. It could be that straightforward, or who knows. Togashi is the master of subverting expectations. I also don't think Oito fucked Beyond and was lying to Kurapika all this time. Bobby Mina is also probably one of Beyond's kids. Ooh.
That's an interesting thought. I didn't consider that to be what Bobby Mina's thinking about right now, but he does have really good N. So maybe he was able to... I don't know if he could hear in there, but maybe get a vibe of like the feelings through the Nen or something.
Maybe.
That's
an
that is super
one.
Interesting, man. I like that thought.
Because it is implied that we don't know where the other where the other like kids are, that were born to to Beyond. So it could be anybody on that ship,
Absolutely.
So Bobby Mealy could definitely be one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm totally with you about everything else you said. I don't think Oito would be lying either. I feel like if it was to be Wobble, there'd have to be some weird explanation that we couldn't possibly come up with. I threw out like the shape-shifting thing, but that probably isn't right either. It's just, I don't know. That also might just not be it at all. It might not be Wobble. That could be a big red herring on Togashi's part.
Yeah. Again, Togashi's a master of subverting expectations, so who knows?
Yes.
Yeah, who we could think is the most likely could very well not be who's in mind, in Togashi's mind. So only time will tell, but it's fun to speculate on this now. This is very good, like, theory, like, fueling information going forward.
Yes. All right, so the next one comes from Edokava 6723, sorry. He says, he completely subverted the scope of the contest and dropped a huge new faction in a single chapter. It was amazing. Couldn't agree more. By the way, I'm calling it now. Beyond's child is either Loserous or one of the queens?
I think you might have... there might have been some misreading going on, because I don't think that's possible to be one of the queens. Or the queens being Beyond's child.
No, I don't think that could be possible.
No.
I don't know ages, but
yeah, I mean, I don't know, but I suppose maybe, but that's not the vibe I got out of the chat.
I guess if anybody, it would be Oito, but I don't. No. I don't think. But interesting thought. That would be certainly insane.
Believer, though. I'll give you.
Yeah. You got a Loserous believer there.
But yeah, completely amazing chapter, though. Couldn't agree more.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you. Thank you.
Next up, we have from Strep to Beep. I thought it was really nice that we are reintroducing some of the big characters like Beyond. A lot of the people I've been personally excited about has not been relevant at all. Beyond, Jing, Periston, Leorio, Zodiacs, most of the Phantom Troop. So it is nice that at least one hyped character is getting to be a part of the plot again. Mm-hmm. It is also great that Beyond isn't reliant on his Nen ability to be an interesting character. A lot of the characters that have been introduced after the anime feels less like real characters and more like a person with a cool Nen ability. It is great that Beyond is a character that has a real personality instead of an interesting Nen ability. I really dislike it when pretty much all we know about a character is his/her Nen ability, which feels like the majority of the characters reintroduced in the Succession War arc, even though the arc is great.
I don't think I agree with that, but
I mean,
I see where you're coming from.
I would argue a lot of the characters are interesting just based off of their personality and their own merits aside from Nen. The Nen is kind of just like cream on top, essentially. But I do agree that Beyond is a bit of a special case, though, where he doesn't need that at all to be like a really cool character. He's just his presence in general is kind of like a
super interesting.
Yeah. Like, I know we throw out the term like aura a lot, but he has aura,
he absolutely does, yeah.
But yeah, I still share the same sentiment, though, that it's great for him to be kind of involved in this again when we just didn't expect him at all at this point, given the last 40 chapters. So.
Yeah. So exciting.
Very exciting.
Nobody saw this coming. I never saw a single prediction or theory about Beyond being involved in this arc. Everybody thought he's being saved for Dark Continent, but no, he's got some stakes here. Mm-hmm. This is big.
And also a good point, though, that this opens the door as well. Can we see more characters that were previously irrelevant to this whole thing become relevant out of nowhere again, like the Zodiacs or Leorio or Jing and Periston now, considering they're working with Beyond?
I think it's possible.
Yeah, they could be on the boat. I'm looking at you, Page Max.
Yeah, Page Max. They still could be on the boat. Yeah, super, super interesting there. I would love if Jing and Periston got involved in some capacity. So next up is This Is Me 2014. It says, with this Beyond reveal, the whole perspective of the Succession War has changed. I'm seeing a lot of theories that 13th Prince Mariam is Beyond's son, and it makes a lot of sense. Interesting. In chapter 390, Zhonglei says father, so maybe Onyor is his father, and that's why he is the benefactor of the Jiyu family. Right, we talked about that. Mm-hmm. And probably Luzerus is Broccoli's child, and that's why he's the benefactor of the Chahar family. Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah.
Possible. And that Beyond Pariston theory looking more possible than ever.
I'd say about
yeah. I don't see how this really adds more evidence to it per se, but
I'd be open to hearing elaboration on that thought.
Yeah, absolutely. Beyond is the definition of the hunter. Yeah, you could say that, I guess.
Yeah.
He certainly is a hunter. 30 plus years of planning and waiting. Yeah, he is. He's conniving.
He's a schemer.
I think we will see two perspectives of what a hunter is in the Dark Continent, with Jing and Beyond as the main two. Okay. Okay. I see. You're
cooking.
You're cooking there.
You're cooking.
Yeah. That's good. Togashi came back. I guess you turned into Mario for a sec. Togashi came back with a bang. Can't wait for you guys' discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, that was stupid. Yeah. Very cool. I really like what you said there about the what a real hunter or whatever, and the two different types of hunters. I think that's really interesting there.
Yeah. Also, I didn't think about Mariam potentially being Beyond's son. That could be interesting.
Yeah, I wish you kind of elaborated on that, because I didn't really see anybody talking about that, but I also just read the chapter, so.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see plenty on the subreddit. Yeah. But good theories. Good comment there. That gives a lot to think
about. Dylan, what do you think about the Luzerus being Broccoli's
I think it's possible.
child?
I think it's actually pretty likely even. But I guess I never really thought about the connection to in-depth, but it would make sense, I suppose. I don't see why it wouldn't. But I guess we don't really have a way of knowing at the same time. So I don't know. We'll see, I guess, but I like the idea.
Yeah, for sure.
Next up, we got from a Starkeeling 7076. Apologies if I butchered that. The introduction of Beyond's multi-layered scheme changed him from someone I think most expected to become important when his escape happened to someone who might play a big role in the near future. And I love how this was a completely unexpected turn of events and brought about the speculation of Beyond's child among the princes. My bet's on Luzerus, considering how his guardian spirit beast hints at him not being what you see on the surface. I didn't think about that.
Good observation.
Yeah.
Good one there.
Oh, man. Okay. More fuel to the fire for Luzerus.
Yeah, a lot of people agreeing with Luzerus, don't I could definitely see it.
Yeah.
And I love how everybody's having that same take about just being totally blindsided by this.
Yeah. We're all sharing the same sentiment and excitement about what we read here. Oh, man, it's going to be a glorious return. This next 19, 20 something chapters, however many we get in this run. God.
Cannot wait.
Yeah.
Really good observation about the Guardian Spirit Beast. I like that.
For sure.
Next up, from Harry Lynch 4224, who says, I thought this arc was going to be nearing the final phases. Wow, that's bold. At least by the end of this batch. But Togashi immediately adding a new plot line is making me wonder just how long this is going to end up being. Also, it's so weird how similar this new faction is to Camilla's Have-Nots. Yeah. There's so much post-mortem then in this arc. Yeah, we commented about both of those things. Yeah. A lot of post-mortem then. Almost feels like something is going to be culminating.
Oh, yeah. It's like a lot of people are going to die by the end of this arc. But yeah, we're not nearing the end of this plotline arc at all at this point. It's safe to say.
I'm shocked to think you thought it was going to be nearing the final phase. I think we're still pretty early, to be honest with you. This is going to be a long arc, guys.
It's going to be a Chimera Ant-esque arc. I can feel it for sure.
Yes, yeah. I totally agree.
But yeah, glad to also see somebody pointing out that it's very similar to the Have-Nots, because it's literally the exact same function, almost, just not in name, and just slightly different curse.
I have to wonder if Beyond knew about the Have-Nots and just kind of wanted his own.
That could be possible. Maybe.
I mean, it's very likely he knew about them, considering how intertwined with the Kaige he is right now.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Good observation. Just maybe he's like, yeah, I want that.
Yeah.
That could serve me.
Yep.
I wonder how like that actually came about though, if that was the case. Like how would you replicate that? It's interesting.
Yeah, I know. It's really interesting because we don't really know a whole lot about this curse thing going on right now, but that's obviously we have Fugetsu kind of being cursed right now according to Melody, so we'll probably learn more about this whole curse situation soon. Yeah,
this curse specifically is also just going to be a big mystery going forward. Like, we don't know what it'll do until it happens. So, only time will tell, I guess. But I'm scared to know what will happen.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. And finally, we got Page Max saying, I think Beyond has had an affair with Queen Dwazil and has fathered at least 3 kids with her. Probably not Loserous, but rest 3 are his. Okay, so we got a non-Loserous believer now, which is fine.
Oh, that's right. Dwazil has like 5 kids with him. What was I saying earlier? Yeah, there's like, she has the most amount for sure. So yeah, having 3 of them is a very specific guess, but I can see where you're coming from. Yeah, at least 1 I could see. But you're against Loserous. That's interesting.
Dwazil is a very likely suspect for like having an affair with Beyond.
Yeah.
All things considered, though, like that's a pretty safe assumption or guess at this point.
Absolutely. But I think a bold prediction is one of the queens that only has 1 child, because that's like, dang, that just means they got married and didn't have a kid. But yeah, I'm with you on Dwazil. I think that's a very likely candidate for being the mother.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well that does it for the thoughts on the chapter. Apologies for how little time you guys may have had to respond to it, given the circumstances of today's recording. But I don't know if you want to elaborate.
That'll be
on
next week. Yeah, just I'm seeing Look Back today, and we have to record at a earlier time. Blame the show times.
You'll have a little bit more time next week onwards. So.
Yeah, sorry about that. I kind of botched the first episode, but a lot of you guys showed up. That was very surprising to me, actually. I thought we'd get like 2 responses, but thank you so much. And hopefully next week we can get even more.
Yeah, be sure to keep lining up early to get your thoughts out. As soon as the chapter drops. So we really appreciate being able to read your thoughts immediately as we're recording. It helps us out a lot.
Yeah.
So keep them coming, guys. Thank you so much. But now we are going to be moving on to community comments. Got a few different comments to read from this last video now, and I guess let's go ahead and get into it, shall we? First up, we have from @New2Haven. Beyond getting assassinated was easily the worst theory. I almost clicked off the vid.
All right, guys, let me address the allegations here. This is a wild card, all right? I don't think it's gonna happen either. The amount of comments we got just shitting on my dumb theory, it was killing me. It was so funny. I don't know. Hey, maybe it still could happen. We don't know. You guys could be eating your words. Yeah, he's here.
Maybe Beyond dying is like the trigger to like having the curse take place.
Dude, one of their targets could be Beyond for all we know. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe
they don't know their targets.
Beyond has abused the curse to target himself.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know why you would do that, but you never know. But yeah, guys, that was so funny how many of you hated that theory. I don't know. It was a wild card. Dylan's wild card was a little more grounded, so I feel like there's just kind of a displace of whatever. I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but
You're saying I set you up, Kaige? I set you up
for you set me up for failure. Because you went first, too, and then I dropped my dumbass Beyond getting assassinated theory. Well, yeah, thank you guys. That was funny.
In any case, it brought up good discussion in the comments, so it worked out.
Yeah, true. You could all unite in disliking the theory. However, some guy did reply to that comment saying, "But what if, brother?" So I gotta believe her. I
got multiple likes. You got multiple. What if? What if?
Hey, what if? That's all you got to think about.
Just. Keep that in the back of your mind now, especially as Beyond is a prevalent character now.
Yeah.
Who knows?
You may eat your words, New2Haven.
Speaking of New2Haven, though, we have another comment of his to read. We wanted to include that one because there was a lot of discussion about Kaige's theory, so needed to address that. New2Haven also added, though, Machi might be the most important spider. Her ability is kind of like webs. She had that moment with Hisoka where she said she would chase him around the world. I think her and Nobunaga survived the longest. I also think Serenich will be obsessed with her. Yeah, no, good. That's a nice little comment, I guess, about a Machi potentially being the most important. I didn't really think too much about Machi, admittedly, in terms of like importance to the spiders, but like now that you say that, or now that I'm reading this, she definitely has more than I was giving her credit for in terms of like how long she could survive and her relevance to everything going on. The whole Serenich thing, being obsessed with her too, is a good call too. Like that could be an interesting dynamic if they were to encounter each other.
Great call, yeah. If my theory ends up being true about her making it to tier 1 by herself, then I could definitely see that happening. But I find this comment funny because it disagrees with both me and yours prediction for the first spider death.
It does, yeah.
Because I think Machi's going to be the first and you think Nobunaga's going to be the first. And he thinks they're going to survive the longest. So interesting perspectives there, but yeah.
It goes to show how like wild the troop theories can get now, because like
it's hard to predict. Yeah.
Yep. Next up, we have This Is Me 2014 saying Hanzo versus Serenich is such a good prediction. Thank you very much. I worked hard
Indeed,
on
it was,
theory.
Dylan. It's a really good one.
Yeah, thank you. Then says, I'll say one of my predictions is my boy Bobby Mina betraying Benjamin and joins Karapika and his abilities revealed. Hey, that might be not as far off now as we may think.
Yeah, you got some evidence stacking up here.
Oh, man. I don't know about betraying. Well, yeah, I don't know. Bobby Mina's thinking about something. We don't know what, though. So
he's pondering.
Yeah. Thank you for your comment, though. Really appreciate thank you for believing in my Hanzo Serenich theory. I like that.
It's really good, man. I really like that theory. That got me thinking.
Thank you. Hope to see it happen. I'd pop off.
Yeah.
Next, we got Edwards S6073.
A lot of S's.
Yeah. Sorry, by the way, if you hate that we're reading your username rather than like your channel name. It's just kind of how the comments are explained to us. So.
Yeah, that's
just as a heads
unfortunate.
Up. If any of you think it looks weird, that's why. Not really much we can do about that, though, for now. Thank you so much for creating a Hunter x Hunter podcast. I'm always on the lookout for Hunter x Hunter content on YouTube, so finding this channel was a pleasant surprise from the usual reaction/review-based channels. This is more reminiscent of the One Piece podcast, which, with the current arc of Hunter x Hunter and its general complexities, I feel is exactly what the community needs. I hope you get to create this podcast as long as possible. 1 week left now. Excited. The community is firing up. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Wanted to include this comment specifically because of your, it reminding you of the One Piece podcast, because admittedly for both me and Kaige, I think, mainly for Kaige, but like more so me recently getting into the One Piece podcast, I've also been getting a lot of inspiration from that podcast. Just the way they're formatted and the way they go about chapter discussions in general is kind of something I think both of us are kind of striving towards in some ways, in some aspects. Kind of feel like Hunter x Hunter is really deserving of something like that. So they're a big inspiration, I would say.
Yeah, I've been a big One Piece podcast listener for like 5 years now, and I absolutely love their stuff, so they were a huge inspiration here. I pretty much, like, really from the get-go, I was just like, yeah, I want to make the One Piece podcast for Hunter x Hunter is pretty much the mission here, and hopefully we're succeeding.
Yeah, and I would like to think still that, this isn't like a One Piece podcast ripoff or anything either.
Oh, no, I think we have our own identity.
Yeah. That's the goal.
Huge inspiration.
Own identity, but yeah, still kind of a similar function, I guess is the best way to put it. So I'm happy to hear that, somebody is being reminded of that, or it's reminiscent of it.
It's very nice to hear.
Hitting our goals in that aspect. So thank you very much. Really appreciate the support. Next, we got a Chaos E-Tank, good friend of mine, and Kaige has known Chaos E-Tank in the past as well, back in the Smash days.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, thank you for supporting the channel. Really appreciate it, man. Another great vid, guys. I enjoy the theories, and here are some of my thoughts. I could see the faith of the Phantom Troop pre-Dark Continent going either way. I'm more so under the opinion that Chrollo, Machi, Illumi, and Kaluta will be the only survivors. I'm not sure about the Hisoka versus Illumi fight, and Kaliter surviving / leaving the troop, because that would be a whole new can of worms Hisoka would have to deal with, aka all of the Zoldyck family. Though he may welcome that, knowing Hisoka. LMAO.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, so thank you for believing in my troop theory. Appreciate it. But yeah, that brings up an interesting point where, like, to elaborate further on the whole, like, Kalito voluntarily leaves the troop, I just kind of threw that in as like it was kind of like a wild card-ish guess in terms of like how she would be dealt with in the aftermath. But then you bring up a good point. Oh man, Hisoka versus the Zoldycks could be really interesting if that somehow developed out of that. I didn't even think about that. I didn't get that far.
Yeah, that would be insane.
Yeah, thank you for your comment. Really appreciate it, man. Next up, we got Baseball Tomorrow. Watching now. You theorize that Gon, Killua, Alaka, and Killua might go to the Dark Continent. But in the manga, it says that Gyro and Gon would eventually meet. So I think Gon is likely to encounter Gyro in Meteor City. But I don't know where Gon getting his Nen back will factor in. Of course, it's also possible that Togashi will drop that story thread since he set it up so long ago. Edit, LOL at the Rion Yapfest comment. Yeah, so to elaborate further on that as well, because I know that was my wild card theory. In my head anyways, I kind of envisioned it as like the Dark Continent would be like a whole thing in of itself, and that journey or even the destination would be how Gon kind of gets his Nen back. And I still think the Gyro stuff obviously is going to come into play at some point. And like Kaige even mentioned in one of our prior episodes, I believe, could potentially be like end game of the series territory. Is like the whole Gyro stuff. So in my head, I envisioned that taking place sometime after Dark Continent was kind of gone through in some way, shape, or form, at least from Gon's side. So I still think that'll happen. I just think, assuming that theory were to come into play, it would be after that theory, unfolds. So just wanted to elaborate on that. But yeah, I don't think he'll drop that story thread though. I think that's something he'll be very interested in exploring from everything we've been given.
I would certainly hope not.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, just wanted to elaborate on that as well. Thank you for the comment. Yes. And then finally, we have from at Green, a bunch of letters and numbers. I'm not reading all that. My theory is that all spiders but Illumi and Kalito, because it makes sense to save them for Killua's plotline, and Nobunaga will die. Nobunaga wanting revenge would really help drill in the cycle of violence that the spiders and Kurapika have going on, especially if Nobunaga manages to kill Kurapika after, having Leorio wanting to take revenge and unlock his true potential that Hisoka has always teased, and ends up killing Nobunaga, and in the end, all that's left is emptiness. I know you had a good amount to say about this, right, Kaige? I don't know if you wanted to start with this.
Yeah, so I think it's Nobunaga killing Kurapika is a wild guess. I definitely would not see that happening, but you never know. But the part I do like about this is having, okay, so I guess the idea of Kurapika dying before, not before Leorio is not the right way to say, because I don't think Leorio is ever going to die, but like having Kurapika's death serve as like a motivator for Leorio is a interesting prospect, and I could see that being the case. However, I think if anything, if Kurapika ends up dying on the boat, which is entirely possible, maybe that could serve as Leorio's inspiration in going through into the Dark Continent. Because, a lot of people have thrown it out there that Leorio could be our point of view character for most of the Dark Continent arc, which I think would be brilliant. That's and then we would have all four characters as like a point of view character at one point. So yeah, I do think I like a lot of this, but I don't think Nobunaga would be the one to kill Kurapika. I think that's the only part I really have a pretty strong disagreement with. I feel like that's not really thematically agreeable, but never know. Yeah, Nobunaga is being set up is pretty important right now.
I do like the idea, though, of him kind of being like a centerpiece in the whole cycle of violence kind of aspect of the troop and Kurapika, and that kind of like being intertwined with one another. That could lead to a pretty cool scenario there. But yeah, I don't think Nobunaga will kill Kurapika either. I think that would be maybe a waste isn't the right word to say, but like I think there's better cases for Kurapika like dying and serving a better point for the story in general. But yeah, I do like the idea that Leorio could be like elevated from Kurapika's death, though. That gives me that's it's been making me think about that quite a bit, and how Leorio would benefit from something like that, especially if he was to go into Dark Continent as a point of view character. So
right.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what will happen with him either way. But good theory in general, though. I like it, even if I don't necessarily agree with what the outcomes will be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I believe that does it for community comments. Again, please keep commenting. Tell us your thoughts on the chapters whenever the chapters release. Leave comments wherever we can see them. We read everything, and we really appreciate the support as always, guys. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So, yeah, it's about all we got this week. Shorter episode. This is probably going to be the norm going forward, unless, hopefully we actually do start getting more comments on the community post, because I'll post them at the normal time. Hopefully that helps and you have more time to respond. But, yeah. So I would expect from now on, anywhere from like an hour to an hour and a half, 2 hours at the most, but unless it's like an absolutely nuts chapter, which I think this one was. So I'm not sure what it would take to reach 2 hours, but never know.
I mean, if something really crazy happens, we could talk about it for ages potentially. There was some crazy stuff revealed, but it was mostly just like, oh, we're setting up this now,
Yeah, it's hard to speculate, I guess, because it's all very new information. So maybe we'll have more to say about like other kind of developments.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, we're both in agreement. That was an amazing chapter, and we are very, very excited for next week.
Oh, yeah.
I won't exactly announce it outright yet, but it's looking like we'll have a guest next week. I won't set anything in stone in case anything falls through, but look forward to that. And that's going to do it for the Hunter Association. So thank you so much for listening. We are available on all major podcasting platforms, as well as YouTube for the video version. Be sure to follow, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll be here at the same time every week talking about Hunter x Hunter. Dylan, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter, as always, at DJ Tengen. That's DJTENGEN. Same kind of content as usual, just retweeting a lot of anime, manga, video game related topics. I don't know, some special interests of mine every once in a while, like WWE, if you're interested in that at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, give me a follow there if you want to see what I'm up to.
All right, and you can, of course, follow me at Kaige10. That's KAIIGE10, has an extra I. And Sparking Zero is days away, so that's going to be all I'm thinking about and posting about.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see plenty of posts from you on that.
Yes, no doubt. And Daima's also coming out, so Dragon Ball fans.
Big anime season in general.
Yeah.
Gonna see a lot of posts on that probably.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So, sorry if you can hear the dog barking in the background. All right, so that's gonna do it, and we will see you guys next week for chapter 402.
Yep. See you there.